Hello makers, today I want to talk to you about repairing broken items. If you look around your house, you look around your little maker shop, your little workshop, you'll probably find so many objects that are at the end of their life. They are broken, they may just be damaged, but basically they're no longer functional in the way that you need them to be. And because of this, they have no more use for you. You're throwing them out, you're gonna get rid of them. You don't see how they're any use to you anymore. And that to me is such a terrifying concept. Items that we have are so disposable. So many items that we just completely take for granted. We have phones, we have tablets, we have washing machines, we have clothes, we have furniture. There are so many items that we buy and we consume and we consume and we consume, and we, once they reach the end of their life, or what we perceive to be the end of their life, we just throw them out and we say, no, I'm done with you, I want something new. And the concept of giving these items a second life, of repairing them, bringing them back to life, seems to us to be a really outdated concept. When we think of items that are to be repaired, we don't think of our everyday items, because so often we look at them and we think, hey, this item is completely disposable, it's slowing down, or it's not as good as the way it was, or it's not fashionable. And when it's not fashionable, or it's not keeping up to our demands, instead of looking at a way to improve it or repair an item, we dispose of it and we look to get a new one. And this is more than just an individual choice. This goes all the way up the chain of production. This is a corporate choice, where you have corporations and you've got companies making decisions and looking at what we do and giving us what we want. We want disposable objects. We want to throw things away. We don't want to have things long term. That idea for many of us is just not something that we like. We don't like to have things for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. That's not really something we do. Maybe for a house, but even then that's pretty disposable, and trying to get a house these days is pretty difficult. The longest thing that we keep for any length of time is a car. And cars do get repaired, but they also get changed so quickly with the change in technology and the efficiency of them, that they come in and they're gone within at least 10 years. Most cars don't even last that long. So what I want to talk about today is why. Why don't we keep things? Why don't we repair things? Why don't we want to have a story with the items that we have in our lives? If you look around your space, how many of them tell a story to you? How many of them do you value? How many of them do you treasure? You're not a hoarder if you like a few items and you have a story attached to them. Not everyone needs to be a minimalist. You can love items and you can treasure things, and things can tell a story. That makes things so much better. I'll tell you a story. A couple of years ago, during the midst of lockdown, I was sitting there and I was on adverts.ie and I was scrolling, and I saw a petrol pump. 1950s Wayne petrol pump. A guy down in Limerick had it, and I was overjoyed. I couldn't believe my luck. This was a petrol pump. This was something I'd always wanted, that sleek Americana. This was everything I'd wanted. It told such an amazing story of antique automobiles, of old rest stops, and it told a story. And I loved it. And I bought it. I spent a fortune on it. I went down to Limerick, I collected it, and now it's in storage waiting for me to get time to restore that item. And it is one of the greatest items I own, and I am so attached to it, and I cannot wait to be invested in restoring it and giving it a new life. But so many people I talk to, they look at me and they think I'm mad. They go, why would you restore that? Why would you want something old? And that to me is such a foreign concept. Why would I want something old? Why would I want something with a story? Because it's the most important part of any object. Why wouldn't I want an object with a story? Why wouldn't I want a piece of furniture, a piece of history to be near me? Why wouldn't I want that in my life? And I think for an awful lot of people, they just don't get that. They don't want that in their life. They want things cheap, disposable. They want the newest thing and the newest brand and that which comes off the assembly line. And there's a lack of connection in our society with things from the past. Many of us don't keep anything. We don't have heirlooms. It's seen as a very outdated thing these days. So what I want to impress upon you, dear listeners, is look around you. Think about things that you have. Think about things that make you passionate and give you a connection with history. And if you can find a few items, whether you're out in an antique store or you go to a salvage yard or you look on adverts or you just find something with an incredible story, you find that story, you find it played through, that is the most important part of anything. When we were doing the repair shop a few months ago, a woman came in with this antique 1912 leather case. This thing was beautiful. It was damaged, the seams had come apart, which is really, really common with suitcases like that. And all the thread had obviously lifted up and had been pushed out over the years. It had probably been stored with something very, very heavy pressing down on the lid, and it bust out over the years. And she wanted to just paint this up, and she had no idea what it was. So why would she? Why would anyone know what a 1912 leather suitcase looks like? But when I sat there and I talked to her about it and we told the story of this leather case and how it was built and the material that went into it, the story and the value became so... It was an outpouring of, wow, this is an incredible object. But it was an incredible object before, but once you infused it with its history, it got value from that. And it was incredible, and she wanted to help restore it. And now we're going to work in the next few weeks about bringing in some leatherworking tools, and we're going to hand stitch all those holes, and we're going to bring the whole thing back together. And she'll have that, and that object will live on for a little while longer. So in my travels, I found a huge amount of objects that I've treasured that mean a huge amount to me. Objects from different eras of Irish history. I found military objects that kind of speak to me as a person, and each one of these items tells a story, and it also is unique. Unique in that there are very few of these objects that still survive, and even fewer that now serve a new purpose. So what I would take away from this is look at objects and look at things and see, do they have any story attached to them? Or are they cheap, easy, and disposable? And maybe next time you're looking at getting a new desk or getting any new object for around the house, maybe consider something that needs just a little bit of love to be restored, or something that is already restored and has a great story behind it. It'll definitely cost you a little bit more money, although sometimes you can get incredible deals on restoration projects if you have the handiness and the skill to do it. But these objects have already survived an awful long time. That tends to mean that they're quite hard wearing. So all I'm saying to you is have that life be extended a little bit more, and you'll save a little bit of money in the long term, and you'll also have an incredible piece of history inside your home. So no matter what you're doing, always try and think about the story in objects. Consider an object and why it needs to be repaired. There's something incredibly beautiful about restoring an item, giving it another chance at life. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much for listening to me. This is something a little bit different from the normal podcast, but it's something I'm really, really passionate about. I absolutely love making, and I absolutely love the idea of giving objects a second life. There's so many incredible makers right across the island of Ireland who have shown me time and time again how they've taken items that I couldn't look at and I go, well, what are you going to do with that? That's trash. It should be thrown away. And they've shown me how they've upcycled them, or they've turned them into something else, and they've created something that is out of this world. I know a guy who's coming on the podcast in the next couple of weeks. All he does is restore petrol pumps. It's absolutely incredible. Another guy I know down in Limerick, on the same topic of petrol pumps, he turns them into EV chargers to keep modern cars. And that, to me, blows my mind. A connection with the past that still fuels the way we're moving in the future. That whole connection to me is incredible. I've seen so many people where they take old bits of furniture, they upcycle them and they restore them and they turn them into incredible pieces of history. A good guy there recently enough, he took air-to-air missile containers, these massive racks that would have air-to-air missiles using the British Army, and he turned them into benches to sit in his barbershop. These things were incredible, and you look at them and you're like, what are they? And it's like, oh, they're cases for air-to-air missiles, and you can sit there and you go, oh my god, were they fired? I mean, where were they stored? What life have these had? These are an incredibly intricate and expensive item that we never really get to see, but it's right there in front of us. It's a living testament to very modern military history, but it's a little bit of history that we're not really used to. If you're going to take that away, please do. I absolutely want to see all your creations. And if you have any restoration projects you're working on that you want to showcase on the podcast, please hit me up in the DMs. We love to see all your incredible creations. I'm Nathan Wheeler. This is the Irish Maker Podcast. Keep making.